Hello, welcome to Old Nerd Watches The Starlost. I got this DVD on eBay. I think, yeah, eBay. It's kind of rare. It's not easy to come across. This is by VCI Entertainment. Can you see that? There it is. They they were kind of like an early boutique DVD manufacturer. Took some older, more obscure, more cult classic type films and TV shows and put them on DVD. Not the best quality. They're not the boutique Blu-ray manufacturers that you see today, like Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, some of those that take some of the older stuff and clean them up real nice, clean the picture and sound up real nice, and put them on Blu-ray or 4K. These guys were doing it back in the day before Blu-ray and 4K, and the picture quality isn't always the greatest. It's not bad on this though. They must have had some decent source material. This was all recorded on video back in the day. This came out in 1973. This is a Canadian television sci-fi series. It only lasted 16 episodes and was canceled. Has a really interesting history though. Uh, I just found out about this not long ago, probably from one of the YouTube channels I follow that talk about old sci-fi. I can't remember where exactly. Somebody was talking about it though, and it piqued my curiosity. Um, it's it's remnant like the filming style with the video filming on video. It's reminiscent of, say, Doctor Who from the 70s, the Tom Baker era of Doctor Who. It looks very similar to that. Uh, it's more this show is probably would probably work best. The audience for this would probably be like young boys. Uh, Probably if you were 10 years old in 1973 when this was on TV, you probably really ate it up. You probably really enjoyed it. Um, I doubt that very many girls would have liked it. Probably a few did. Uh, but mainly, I would think that this would be kind of a younger audience anyway. It's very dull, slow, lots of talk, long lingering shots of on people's faces reacting to things happening in front of it's it's not very good. There's a lot of videos here on YouTube that talk about the Starlost, and they all do some really good in-depth histories and analysis of it. I'm not going to do that here, but if you search for the Starlost here on YouTube, you'll find several videos where people review it, talk about it, and they've got most of the history uh, pretty much in several of the videos. You can get a good idea of this show. Um, it started off before it went to the filming process. It started off strong. The concept came from sci-fi writer Harlan Ellison. He created the idea. Uh, he got Douglas Trumbull, who was a special effects guy. He worked on 2001: A Space Odyssey, Blade Runner, but at this point, he had been he this would be just a few years after 2001: A Space Odyssey came out, so he was kind of riding high on the special effects success of that film. And so between Douglas Trumbull's special effects and the concept from Harlan Ellison, this had a really strong start. Um, and eventually, Ben Bova, a science fiction editor and writer, he came onto the project to be like the science advisor for this television show. And all these people basically quit before the first season, before the first episode even aired or filmed, maybe even. Now, since the since Harlan Ellison was the creator. He couldn't have his name removed from the credits, but he wanted it removed because the producers uh, made so many changes to his story and script. So I guess what he was notorious for is if he created something and he didn't like the direction it went in, and his name was still attached, he would use a pen name, basically. Cordwainer Bird is what you'll see in the credits, is the creator of this show, and that's actually Harlan Ellison. But he disowned this series and said if his name's got to be on it, it's going to be this nom de plume of Cordwainer Bird. So I guess that some people, cordwainer, I guess, is like an old English term for a shoemaker. And bird, like like if you like the videos I was talking about that talk about this show on YouTube, they all have kind of a slightly different variation of what cordwainer bird is. But basically, I think bird means like the middle finger, giving the middle finger to the show, because it got so dramatically changed from his original concept. Um, in Douglas Trumbull's, he had a new technique, a new special effects technique called Magic Cam, and it was two cameras in tandem, one filming the actors against like a blue screen, and another camera filming a miniature set, and it would superimpose the actors onto the miniature set, and it didn't work very well. It doesn't look very good, but I mean, it got the point across. Like I said, this is kind of a 70s Doctor Who meets 70s Land of the Lost. It was touted as like an adult sophisticated science fiction television show, but it comes off as more it, this would probably work better for kids. I'm sure that the kids watching this probably loved it. Uh, but much like my experience watching Batman 66 when I was a kid, and then watching it again as an adult, the disappointment I felt, because I loved that show so much as a kid. Then I watched it as an adult and just thought it was silly. Um, and, and then, of course, years later, now that I'm an old nerd and I've watched Batman 66 again, now I appreciate it. And I guess it's kind of the same with this. Anytime I watch something from the 70s, say, it's got kind of a, for me anyway, maybe some other old nerds experience this as well. Watching something from then is kind of a cozy feeling. It's like a cozy watch. It's not so much that it's a good show or or anything like that. It's just the way that it's filmed, especially on videotape. It's more of a cozy. It takes me back to being a kid watching TV when I was very young. Uh, very very cheap sets, very low grade special effects, and all that stuff is very sparse, because mostly this show is people talking and reacting. And this show is very slow. There's 16 episodes. It took me a while to get through it because it was very dull. I fell asleep a lot watching it. um, but anyway, let's get back to like the pedigree of this show. Like, created by Harlan Ellison. By the time it got in the hands of the producers that took it over, he wanted nothing to do with it. Douglas Trumbull's Magic Cam special effects didn't work that well. Ben Bova actually he quit the project after seeing all the changes that were being made, and and actually Ben Bova, after he quit the show, he went and he wrote a novel called The Star Crossed, and it's like a satire of this and his experience working on this show. Uh, I want to look that up and see if I can get a hold of that book. It seems like it would be a pretty fun read after watching this and learning about the background of this show. So it had a like a very promising start. Great concept. Got in the hands of producers who just wanted to keep cheapening it, cutting costs, cutting corners. It started off like as a 20th Century Fox production, and it ended up at CTV. Is that what Canadian television is? I forget. Um, it ended up on Canadian television, and it was supposed to be a co-production between Canadian television and BBC over in Britain, and I think that fell through as well. So it ended up just being a Canadian television show, and they had no money to to make sets, to do special effects or anything. So you can imagine just how slow this is. Uh, it's got a few uh, bigger name guest stars. Every episode has like a special guest star. Uh, the very first pilot episode has I can't remember his name now. Sterling Hayden, actor from the classic era of film. Sterling Hayden is in the first episode. Walter Koenig from Star Trek is in a couple of episodes. Um, I can't remember the name of the actor from Kolchak, the Night Stalker. The boss of the newspaper, Kolchak's boss at the newspaper. He is the co-star in one episode. And there's a few like well-known Canadian actors that came in and co-starred, which I'm not really familiar with them. But the big lure, other than like Douglas Trumbull's new special effects, Harlan Ellison creating it, and Ben Bova being the science advisor, was Keir Dullea. Keir Dullea from 2001: A Space Odyssey. So he and Douglas Trumbull actually worked together on 2001: A Space Odyssey. And so Keir Dullea was brought in. He was like the big name actor that they were going to put on this, so that you knew that after he was in 2001: A Space Odyssey, like everybody knew that Keir Dullea was a serious science fiction guy actor. So they brought him in, and he does a really great job. Like even though the show is kind of doomed, like he gives his best every episode. He's the star, and he was the big pull, the big draw of this show. And then there's these other two actors who were his co-stars in every episode. Um, this woman, her name is Gay Rowan. She only did a few things in film, TV, not very much. Robin Ward. Apparently, he's done a lot more. Acted a whole lot more. Like spent his life on screen, but I don't recognize him. He looks vaguely familiar. But apparently he's been pretty busy all his life acting. But they're the three top cast. So the premise of this show, and this is Harlan Ellison's concept for the show, is a giant spaceship called the Ark is journeying through space because Earth has been destroyed, and this giant spaceship is on its way to find a new home for humans. Now, the Ark is designed. There's not really a good. Well, here. This is the Ark. Can you see this? This is the Ark, and he has all these domes attached to the fuselage. Each one of these domes is a biosphere. It's a giant biosphere, and they're different settlements. They're different enclaves of humanity in each one of these domes. I guess the spaceship it's supposed to be like hundreds of miles long. Like it's immense. And so each one of these domes has some sort of different settlement of humanity living in it. And a lot of them are unaware that they're on a spaceship. Most of them have forgotten they're on a spaceship. The spaceship has been in space for 400 years, and the guidance system has been damaged somehow, and they're heading for a collision. They're going to collide with a sun, and it's going to be destroyed. But all the people in these biodomes are unaware of that. They're not even aware that they're on a spaceship. They just live their lives in each one of these domes. And Keir Dullea and company here, they come from a dome which is like basically like an Amish settlement, a very conservative farming community, and they end up leaving. Keir Dullea's character wants to marry Gay Rowan's character. I'm struggling to remember their names as I'm talking. His name was Devin in the show. And I can't remember their names off the Garth, Devin, Garth, and I can't remember. But Garth is betrothed to her character. They're to be married, but Keir Dullea, Devin's character, and her are actually in love, but they're not allowed to get married. The town elders, the settlement elders, decree that these two must be married. So he discovers a hole in the wall that he can get through, and he gets into the spaceship and discovers that they're in a spaceship. So he comes back and tries to tell everybody in his biodome settlement that that's what's going on, and nobody believes him, of course. And so he runs off with her and takes her back into the spaceship, and he goes after them, and he catches up with them, and they all make peace basically. And then from there on out, they go on adventure after adventure in each episode of the show, discovering different types of people in all these biodomes on their journey through this massive spaceship, and trying to figure out how to get the spaceship fixed so it doesn't crash into the sun. And it's a pretty interesting concept, and some of the episodes have good ideas, but like I said, it's just super slow. And I like I said, I fell asleep several times watching this. So it's really it's not a terrible thing. It's not the most awful thing I've ever watched, but it's not good. But at the same time, like I said, it's a cozy watch for that old vibe, that old 70s vibe. It's a interesting artifact of television history because of all the people that were involved in it, and how it went from being a big time production to a small time Canadian production that had no money basically to make it happen the way that it needed to happen. And it I don't know, it's just a neat artifact from over 50 years ago now of television history, television science fiction history. Um, I enjoyed it, not without some suffering though. But uh, I don't know. Has anybody else out there watched Starlost? I'd never heard of it until just recently, and it now that I've found out about it and dug into it a little bit, like apparently quite a few people are aware of this show. I guess this show tops a lot of like IMDb.com lists of top forgotten science fiction television shows of the past. Um, and I'd never heard of it. I was very surprised to discover this, and just learning about it has been more fun than actually watching it. So is anybody else out there watch this? Did any other old nerds when they were young watch this on television when it was new back in '73? It was a Canadian show, but several American affiliates played it, I guess, and I guess it was called The Ark in America instead of the Starlost. It was called The Ark. So if that jogs anybody's memory, please comment down below. I guess Harlan Ellison's original title for the show was Phoenix Without Ashes, or maybe that was just the title of the pilot episode when he wrote the script for that. I can't remember, but Phoenix Without Ashes, I think, was going to be the name of the show, and the producers didn't like that, so they came up with this. But I guess this is a case of the producers ruined a great idea by trying to cut costs very dramatically. So yeah, anybody remember this? Let me know. Let me know what your feelings about this show are. Otherwise, stick around for more videos like this. I review comic books, reading my Marvel comic book collection in order, and doing a video on each issue that I read. I'm currently in the year 1977 of my Marvel comic collection reading. Any of that sounds good to you? Please subscribe. Please share this with any other old nerd out there you think might enjoy it. Uh, leave me a like, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.